The breakdown of a relationship is considered the second most intense experience after the loss of a loved one. However, the level of anxiety and suffering can depend on many factors, ranging from the type of attachment and personality traits, and ending with the context of the end of the relationship. It is worth noting that the departure of a partner can be not only a misfortune, but also a possible event that brings joy to a man's life. Nevertheless, even in such a situation, a representative of the stronger sex may begin to miss his former lady after a while. This is just a feature of the work of our psyche, and there is nothing surprising about it. All objects are stored in our memory without exception, and if there are triggers, they will regularly pop up in our consciousness, awakening certain emotions. Today, we will talk about how long after a breakup a man begins to miss a woman, and how this can manifest itself. Feeling of scarcity. Many girls, wanting to keep their partner close to them, begin to envelop him with care. They prepare food, wash, clean, fill up with physical intimacy, take care of. Some provide financial assistance. There are a dime a dozen such stories and, in general, logic is present in such actions. Getting some buns will make it harder for a guy to leave, because from now on a girl is not just a companion, it is also a source of benefits. As practice shows, in the early days, the representative of the stronger sex does not worry much about the breakup. She left and left, abandoned and abandoned. If the balance of importance is broken and the girl has no value in itself, then all the good that she gave does not cause a feeling of acute deficiency. He can live without it for about 2 weeks. Then life leads him to those points where a woman would be useful. Day after day, there are no soups and pilaf in the refrigerator. Getting physical intimacy has ceased to be too easy a task. Dust has formed in the apartment, and the toilet bowl is unclear how to clean it, turned yellow from something. Depending on exactly what functions the girl performed and what their volume was, the intensity of the experience will be different. But it will be 100%. Don't worry. Whether this will lead to him crawling on his knees begging to return is difficult to say. The most popular scenario in such a situation is to get in touch in order to push and get what you want through manipulation. Dependence on goods does not lead to love. It is only a need, and you are a source of resources. The destruction, the habitual way of life. Research by psychologists shows that a person in any situation strives to maintain the status quo. That is, even if the new life is much better, but requires some effort, the individual will prefer to leave everything as it is. I do not want to take risks, as there is a high probability of being left with nothing. Our ancestors did not do this and it helped them survive, though we only inherited their patterns of behavior. For the first few days, maybe a couple of weeks, a man can take a break from a relationship or go all out. He will call other girls with whom he has wanted to for a long time, but could not because of the presence of a companion. Meet up with friends, go to clubs, hang out, or just lie down, take a break from everyday life, obligations, the too close presence of the other half, from conflicts, finally, if there were any. And then the psyche will say, well, that's enough, have fun, relax, let's get back to the issue of stability. What should I do next? As a result, the psyche will push for the return of the object and an internal conflict may occur, and the consciousness realizes that the former will not come back or this event is unacceptable for some reason. But the subconscious will begin to generate memories and encourage action. Someone will try to get in touch, and someone will just get bored, dream, and sometimes yearn with varying degrees of intensity. This will also happen in 10 to 15 days. But it is impossible to predict whether it will lead to active actions. A drop in self-esteem. If the decision to break up was made by a man, then he may start to get bored, but in the format of light memories and most likely after a long time, maybe in 2 months or even 6 months, the negativity will go away. Only warm nostalgia will remain in the memory. This is also a basic and natural process, but it does not bring any benefit to the girl. It's quite another matter if the initiator of the breakup was a companion. Everything here will depend on the level of attachment of the guy and the context of the very act of stopping communication. The more self-esteem is hurt, the more pronounced the experience will be. The fact is that the departure of a companion is a heavy and painful blow to self-esteem. A man feels unnecessary and insignificant. The fear of rejection is triggered. The psyche begins to burn with fire. From the first days, he will try to take everything back, even if he received a dose of insults and humiliations. More precisely, in this situation, his activity will be even stronger. He can go for a trick and use gasping, or he can act straightforwardly and hit stalking. Regardless of the chosen strategy, perseverance will be maximum. This is the difference between healthy and codependent relationships. To form or part ways in a situation where goals and plans for the rest of their lives radically diverge. The latter run away when the partner's importance decreases for some reason. The cage opens and the person gets the opportunity to leave the place where he regularly encounters violence, and as a rule, the abandoned person feels like a loser. His self-esteem flies down, and then frustration and emotional swings. Nothing new, but in the context of this article, you're only interested in specific information. A man being abandoned will start to get bored right away. After what time does a man begin to miss a woman, and how long does it last? We cannot know exactly how long after a breakup a man begins to miss a woman, but we can list the stages that he will have to go through. Maybe the memories will come flooding back the very next day, or maybe they will catch up with the guy 6 months later. But in any case, he is a path of several stages ahead of him. The first is denial. Men, as a rule, do not believe in the departure of a companion. They cannot even imagine such a situation. We are sure that he will definitely come back, get over it, come to his senses. Therefore, they relax and think, may she come back, where will she go? They can safely go to a bar with friends, stick in front of a TV, continue to live as if nothing had happened. The second is anger. The days go by and the girl doesn't come back. Enrages. Instead of awareness, emotions of anger will rush in. A man can insult and speak disparagingly, to accuse her of going to another person or wanting to jump the fuck. Yes, in general, she is still the creature that she lacked. It is unclear. She was always messing up. She went to hell at all. Hell be lost without me. Who needs it? I put up with it. The other one will throw it out the window in a week. The third is bargaining. Negatively colored emotions have been disposed of, and the absence of a companion is becoming more and more obvious. It's time to exhale and go in search of a compromise. Okay, I'll forgive you for your prank. Come on back, show off, and that's enough. Okay, I will no longer lose my salary at the bookmaker's office. Well, I have changed and change. I am ready to discuss this and start the relationship anew. We have children. We've been together for 5 years. They're not strangers. The fourth is depression. Having failed in negotiations, the psyche finally goes into a state of apathy. Perhaps after a while there will be a rollback to the stage of anger, and then, after going through the bargaining, the man will return to this point again. It can happen many times, depending on the situation and the guy himself. But once depression becomes the final phase, there will be no way out of it into anger. The fifth is acceptance. Emotional exhaustion, when after apathy there is no longer the strength for anger, will end with a stage of complete acceptance of what happened. Only here will a man stop being bored, try to return, and be active in the direction of his ex. He will accept and acknowledge the fact of his companion's departure. Instead of the total. To summarize, depending on the context, a man will start missing a woman the next day, 2 weeks or 6 months later. I do not know what your situation is, but it is one of three. There is also no definite answer with the duration, because the stage of depression may return to anger several times, or it may not return once. It already depends on the personal characteristics of the guy. But if a man cannot complete this process for more than 3 months, then he needs the help of a psychologist. This is a generally accepted belief. As a rule, no one sounds the alarm in the first weeks. But then there are already concerns. Ideally, upon application to the police in case of harassment, a man should be referred for a specialist consultation. But such measures do not work for us, so many people hunt for exes for at least another year. It is also important to understand that it is normal to be bored. If nostalgia provokes a man to act, then this signals the instability of his psyche. He is not crazy, but the traumatic event is difficult to live through, and this carries certain risks. As one of my friends says, you think too much and take everything too close to your heart. Well, probably go to your funeral soon.